Hey, it's Rack, the Love Priestess. Felt like tuning in honor of it being my 1 year anniversary with Corona. Wow, it feels like 3 years have passed in this 1 year. I swear, it's like time slowed down, and we were all really invited to slow down, weren't we? So for me, it feels like a really potent time to pause and reflect on the lessons I've gained in this last year, because I for sure am not the same person as I was a year ago, and I feel that Corona was actually a catalyst for myself and so many of us to pause, slow down, reflect on ourselves and our lives and the way that we're operating. And it was an opportunity to really ask, like, are we living in alignment with ourselves, or what's really working for us or what's not, and how can we shift into greater accuracy and attunement with who we really are, how we want to feel, and how do we then operate in that way in the world. So for me, I'm taking this moment to share, because when I share, this is how I get to process and kind of collect my own gems of wisdom and the knowledge that I've accumulated through experience. And it's an invitation for you as well to perhaps reflect on your own lessons and growth that you've gained in this last year, and ask yourself, how might you be different now than you were before a year ago? So if you're with me, thanks for tuning in. I'm really excited to share some gems here, and feel inspired, feel empowered to keep moving forward, and keep bringing myself and my expression to life, to light. And yeah, stop hiding, basically, because I feel that's what's being called forth from me now. It's like, yeah, when Corona came a year ago, it really activated me into my purpose, right? For my whole entire life, I've always felt a calling, like I'm here to be of service. I'm here to help the world be a better place, and that desire has always been really core and true to me throughout the years. It's like the one thing that's maybe stayed the same throughout my whole life, but the available options, or how I thought that might look, or what I wanted to do, has always shifted. So tuning in now, it felt like, okay, I started deep diving into my personal development and mindfulness, self awareness path about 8 years ago. And it always felt like, okay, I'm preparing for something. Like, I felt like I'm learning about myself and the world, and it's gonna bring me somewhere. Like, I have a purpose. There's a purpose, there's a calling, there's a mission that's driving me in this direction. And that was, although it wasn't really clear, the clarity has come and continues to evolve over time. Um, yeah, I felt like, okay, there's a greater reason why I'm doing this, and I'm doing it not just for me. I'm here to help others as well. And when Corona came, it really felt like that call to action for me. Like, okay, this is what I've been preparing for. I've been doing the work. I've been looking deeply at myself to understand my own anxieties, my own fears, my own limitations, my own beliefs and blockages, and like what's going on in my subconscious, and how yeah, like what are all of these parts and pieces that make me me, and how do I um, work with myself to create a life that feels harmonious to me, right? That feels expansive and liberated and abundant and true and joyful. And yeah, through this process, I've really discovered um, my unique gifts, my unique purpose, and the message that wants to come through me. So when Corona came 1 year ago, I felt like, okay, now is the time, and it activated me into my purpose, into my calling. But what I didn't realize at the time is that that was a reaction, right? Fear, this immense amount of fear came over the world like a black cloud, is how I felt it. I was in the jungles of Costa Rica when Corona came and my flights were getting canceled. I was with my partner at the time, and we thought we were gonna be like, okay, look, we're stuck in Costa Rica. Maybe now we should just stay here and like start building a community. Because what else is, it really felt like the end of the world, and there was so much unknown, so much fear. I remember even like in the casita in the middle of the jungle with barely any Wi-Fi. We're just getting like little snippets of news, what's happening as like the rest of the world is pretty much going into lockdown. We're there in the jungles of Costa Rica, and there was one night I remember so strongly, I couldn't sleep. And pretty much all of us that were there in this training, it was a transformational facilitators training. We were learning how to hold space for groups to go through transformative processes. How accurate is that as the world entered this mass collective transformative time, right? And anyway, so there I was gaining the tools and the skills that I could offer myself to be of service to the transformation of the world. And I remember this one night, basically none of us could sleep. Like, we were having bad dreams, or there was this really eerie energy that just like came over all of us. And the next day we were all talking about it, and it really felt like we were all just connected, right? Like, in the collective consciousness of the world, there was so much fear, and we could feel it even in the middle of the jungles of Costa Rica. So that was very strong for me, this feeling of, okay, maybe this is the end of the world. But I chose to kind of see it as the opportunity, right? The opportunity, the catalyst to start bringing the change that we all want to see, the change that we need to bring if we want to keep surviving and keep evolving and keep thriving as the human species on planet Earth. I think we can pretty much all agree that the practices and the sort of relationship that we collectively, our society, has with the Earth is not sustainable. And like, we're looking at it, we're becoming aware of it, but sometimes it feels so helpless. Like, what can I do to make a change? It's like beyond us in so many ways. But I really truly believe that we can bring the change, and we create the change by being the change. And it's in a way, it's like it starts within, right? The revolution starts within. Creating heaven on earth starts within. How do we evolve ourselves and our awareness, our consciousness, our beliefs, to open ourselves up to new and better ways of being, meaning deprogramming the fear and the limiting beliefs to allow for a new perception of reality, and then it allows for reality to meet us there. Like, we truly are creators. We are co-creating with source consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right? We are consciousness projecting our reality into the world, which is being filtered by all of our former experiences, right? All of our belief systems and the values that have been often passed down to us from the generations before. We take it in, and then that's what we project into the world. And that's how the matrix has been created and is maintained, right? Because when we live in the matrix, which is essentially just a paradigm of society, right? The beliefs and the structures and the systems that keep society together, right? The need to get a job and to pay rent, and all of the like the way that we relate to people and relationships and sexuality and living into the expectations of our family, right? There's so many things that we get taught as we come into the world, and we don't have really the places or spaces often to question that. We go through the education system, we're kind of shaped into there's only so many like potentials really offered to us, and we get put on this track from a very young age without really a moment to pause and ask ourselves, what do we really want? Or for that matter, even explore the world before we're supposed to decide what we want, right? And then we end up in debt, and we have to pay off our debt, and it's keeping us locked into this system, this pyramid of like basically the monetary system, right? There's very few people at the top that are earning most of the money and the resources and the power, and then everything else kind of has to fall into place beneath that. But what if there's another way, right? What if that doesn't have to be the world we live in? And I don't think that the entire system or the entire matrix has to fall and collapse in order for us to start to create a new system. I believe within the matrix, within the paradigm that we know, right? We can start to evolve and start to create new systems, new structures, new value systems, and open ourselves up to a better world for ourselves, but for our children. And that happens by doing the work within. And that's what I've been learning, and this is what I'm getting ready now to teach and to share and to guide others on this journey of self-evolution as well. So this last year really brought me into alignment with my true path and purpose, because in the beginning I responded. It was a reaction from fear. I said, okay, it's time to go, right? I've been preparing for this moment. People are triggered into fear. They're so afraid. They don't feel safe. People are losing their jobs. So much is unknown. And when we're in this state of fear, right, it's like fight or flight mode. We're not able to actually think clearly or act in a place of true alignment with like what's gonna serve me and my highest, when we're basically clouded by the fear and clouded by, you know, all of the news and all of the trauma and tragedy of what's going on in the world. We're human. We're emotional creatures. We are sensitive beings, and we feel it. It's beautiful, and it's also challenging. And just to know we can expand our awareness, we can evolve our consciousness and work with our inner being to be more strong, more centered, anchored in our core essence, and live from that place, even when the world feels chaotic, even when others around us, you know, are stuck in fear or stuck in limitations. We can still be an anchor of truth, right? Of living our personal truth, living who we truly are and who we came here to be. Because I believe every single one of us has a purpose. We contain a very important part and piece of the greater whole. Every single one of us has a soul purpose and a reason or an essence, something that is so important to the unfolding of our human evolution. And it's up to us. We have the free will to choose if we want to live into that or not, right? We don't have to awaken to our soul purpose and live it. It is a conscious choice, and it is a choice if we do make that choice, which ultimately will bring us into our highest, let's say, greatest fulfillment and like highest expression of joy. If we're living in alignment with our true soul essence, it's all about energetic flow. And this is a lot of what I'm going to be teaching in my upcoming course. I'm starting to build a course now called Tantric Alchemy, and basically I'm going to be teaching the tools and philosophies that I've learned from Tantra, which is just an ancient philosophy, basically acknowledging the human essence, right, as the embodiment of spirit into form. We are energetic beings being projected into this material reality, and we can learn our own energetic system through self-awareness and emotional release practices and different tools that can bring us to live in alignment with our true core, our true essence, and then be an expression of wholeness, of well-being, of connection to something greater and higher, and like living that truth into the world. And I believe that that's what will allow us to bring heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is a frequency, it's a state of being that starts within, and the more of us as individuals that do this inner work to embody that resonance, the more of us that do the work, we actually naturally start connecting with people that are also doing the work, right? And then the more of us that are coming together with these same desires to live and express truth and joy and the inner knowing that we are safe on earth, we belong here, and she's infinitely abundant. And when we live in right relationship with her, when we live in harmony with ourselves and with the earth and the nature, knowing, seeing ourselves as part of this greater ecosystem, we are not separate from it, we are not above it, we are not here to dominate it and use it for our own ego's needs and desires, right? But really living in harmony, first of all, with our ego's needs and desires, right? Learning to make peace with our most human aspects, right? And then evolving ourselves to be an expression of higher human evolution and birthing this new earth paradigm here, which is essentially happens organically when we live true to our essence, to our soul calling and our divine purpose. And every single one of us has it. And I've been exploring how to unlock this truth within me and create my reality from that place. And I'm going to be sharing these tools and teachings soon. So really exciting to bring that through. And just to come back to what I learned this last year from Corona was essentially exactly that, right? Live true to my alignment, and that's all I can do. All I can do to be of highest and greatest service in helping others is be fully true to myself and the gifts that I carry based on what I was born with and the whole journey I went through to get here and where I want to go based on my intuition and my feelings and the guidance of my body, which, you know, a lot of times, like before I went on this whole tantric journey, I was living just from my mind. My whole life changed when I gave myself permission for 1 year to let my feelings and my intuition guide me. I said, okay, I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna live an experiment for 1 year. Took my savings, left my job, left my relationship, and I let my emotions and my desires, my curiosities guide me. And ultimately, I started walking this tantric path. I started going to tantra workshops. I started learning tantra therapy. I began to really embody and practice these philosophies in my life, and I never looked back. Now, as much as sometimes my mind tries to come in and control and tell me what I should do, it doesn't work anymore because I've opened up my sensitivity. I know now my alignment, my truth is lived from a deeper place. My emotions guide me into my state of alignment. And I've had to, this last year, dive deeper than ever before to unwind the fear programs that live within me that keep me from living that truth. Because when we live in alignment with our true self, we activate our personal power. And we don't have to go into it now, but it's fucking scary to truly own your power. To truly live your personal power is scary because it means a lot of the times breaking away from the norms. And oftentimes people around us don't feel so comfortable with that, right? We like normality, we like familiarity. We often define ourselves also based on what others think or believe or expect around us. And that's how I always lived until this last year. I went deeper than ever before to acknowledge the fears within me, the parts and pieces within me that don't feel worthy of living my true purpose or my true greatness. And I've been having to learn to hold these parts of me and create the safety in my system. This is a deep healing work, right? Of learning how to relax the nervous system, be in authentic, truthful communication with myself and all of my parts, not trying to race ahead to be something or do something or build a business because then I will feel good enough. But then these parts that don't feel good enough keep showing up as self-sabotage in different ways. I had to acknowledge all of the places that I'm giving away my power because I don't feel ready or I don't feel good enough, or all of these wounded beliefs that my inner child is carrying from being raised in a system, in a society where I thought the way to survive is to fit myself in. So I never felt safe to be different or to be truly myself or to be fully expressed. I was always basing my sense of self-worth and self-identity based on how I'm being perceived by others. So breaking all of these molds to come into true authentic alignment, to live big and bold and beautiful and expressed and to be different. I'm walking an unusual path. We can get more into that later, but to be in to know that I'm safe and I trust myself to walk this path even though it's unknown. And that has been a huge, huge, huge deep dive into my healing that I had the opportunity to do this last year because Corona made the world kind of stop or slow down at least. And do this deep reflective work to come into true alignment with who am I, what's my purpose, and what do I have to offer here? What are my real gifts, and how can I be of service from my unique perspective and standpoint on life? So that's where I am now. I'm ready. I'm ready to be in full ownership of myself, taking full responsibility for the life that I want to create, and no longer blaming or playing victim or pleasing or all of these old mechanisms I used to do to feel safe, or because I felt helpless and I couldn't do it alone, and I'm gonna wait for someone else to have the answer to show me the way, blah blah blah. You know, it's all self-sabotage in different forms, and like feeling worthy, feeling ready is all an inner work, and the inner work never stops. I am still on this path of healing. I will continue to be on this path of healing, and from this place I really want to share my journey with you, with whoever is listening out there, because I know that whatever I'm going through, all of my challenges, and everything that I'm transmuting in my life is so that I can help others do the same. And I think this is the revolution. It's a revolution of coming into clarity with our personal truth, owning our personal power, knowing we are safe to be fully who we are, to live into our greatest potential, which means owning who we came here to be, allowing our bodies to guide us, allowing ourselves to explore and try new things and break the mold and be different, and whatever is calling us, whatever curiosities or passions or excitement, like that is part of our soul wanting to be expressed. And the more we allow our soul to express, the more we get brought into alignment, because it's a game. It's a co-created reality, and whatever we bring out into the world through our vibrational resonance, through our thoughts, intentions, words, actions, is how the world will mirror us, right? So in order to create a world we truly want to live in, we have to start taking responsibility for everything that lives in us that does not let us align with what we truly deserve and truly desire. So owning our personal power is all about taking full responsibility for who are we, where do we want to go, what's stopping us, and really being willing to look at the fears and look at the small places within us and hug them and hold them and show them that it's okay. It's not about fighting them. I've been in this journey long enough to know that as long as I'm resisting and fighting my resistances, like, why am I not there yet? Or why am I not ready? Or this forceful need to be somewhere that I'm not, that's when I get stuck. That's when I'm feeling behind the game. But when I remember my wholeness, my readiness, even with my wounds and my limitations, and I welcome them along the journey with me, even if it means moving slower than my mind wants to, right? That's the secret. That's the secret to living aligned and bringing your soul purpose through, is like being in full acceptance of everything that you are. So this is the path that I'm walking. You can also call it the path of self-mastery, the path of self-healing, the path of a spiritual entrepreneur, because I'm seeking to build my business, my interface with the world, my energetic exchange, my offering, my service from the work that I'm doing on myself. So this is what I'm here for, and if it's resonating with you, please let me know. And I'd love to hear from you. How have you changed and evolved and learned and grown in this last year of collective shift, right? Collective shift is inviting all of us to take personal responsibility for how we're living. How do we want to see our lives play out? And know that we are worthy, know that we are capable, know that it is safe to do so. Even if all of the voices around us say it's not, I'm here to say that it is. And I'm a living, breathing example of that. And let's keep supporting each other. Those of us who are allowing ourselves to awaken to what's true for us, step outside of the matrix paradigm and really reflect on the values that are driving us in our life and asking if they're in alignment with our highest self, with our true desires, how we want to feel in life, then like I so honor you for doing that. It's not easy and we need each other. So the more we do that honest inner reflection and allow ourselves to share our journey with others, the more we will find the people that align with us, who are doing this work as well. And that's how we build this community, this network. We're weaving, right? We're weaving the connections around our planet that will help us really raise the consciousness and reveal the potential, like what's really possible, because the possibilities are infinite when you're living in alignment with your soul. So thanks for listening. Love you so much, and talk to you soon.